about workers' comp cases, you may not think of professional athletes, but a recent case that we'll talk about today involved a former Tennessee Titans player who had career-ending injuries. I recently sat down with attorney Jim Higgins at the Higgins Firm to learn more about it. Jim, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
All right, so we're talking about this former Titan, Kevin Mawae, and he filed a workers' comp claim. Tell us what happened here.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting because we always think of work comp claims being with factory workers and construction workers, which are, of course, 90% of our cases. But we've handled several professional athlete cases, and this is one that this guy had. And as a center for the Titans, it's so hard on their body. He ended up having shoulder injuries and knee injuries and wrist injuries, and to the point where he just could not play anymore. So as part of that, he brought a work comp case, and under the terms of that settlement that he got, he obtained about $114,000.
Wow.
And he also obtained lifetime future medicals. And it's interesting because you look at those numbers, as in so many of these cases, and in some ways you say, well, that's not very much for a professional athlete. Of course, it's a decent amount of money, but it kind of tells us a little bit about the work comp system and what we struggle with a lot of times with our clients, in that we're dealing with this limited amount of money. There are certain ceilings that the law puts on work comp cases, and you can only get so much out. That probably didn't make a lot up for his loss of income,
right?
But it's something.
Right. So you said $114,000. How did they come up with that amount? How did the court decide that?
Well, absolutely. If this was a case like if it was a truck accident case or other kinds of cases we see, then you just add up people's lost income and what they're going to lose over their life. Well, work comp's supposed to make up for that vocational loss, but the way it's generally determined is the court looks at about 5 or 6 factors. It will begin with a doctor will give someone an impairment rating, and the court will look at that. The higher the impairment rating, the more the case is worth. Doctor will look at a person's education. The more education they have, really the less the case is worth, because you have more options out there for other jobs. They'll look at your age, they'll look at your other jobs that you've had, and they kind of put all that into a pile, and they say, okay, based on all those, with this injury, we think this is going to create a disability that may be a 20% disability. So 20% of the jobs out there you couldn't do, or 30% of the jobs out there you couldn't do, and then we put that into a formula, and that will equal so many weeks of pay. So this is a guy who can't do his old job, so it's going to cost him some money, and this is geared to help make up for some of that loss.
That's right. Really interesting. Jim, thanks so much.
Sure.
The Higgins Firm is serving Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-353-0930, or for more info, check out higginsfirm.com.